that this has taken such a long time, but we are here, and thank you all for coming. First order of business is we need to stand and have the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. John? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all. If you're here tonight, it's because you're doing a project which involves increasing a footprint or mass or some sort of change which creates a scale issue with a project that's in one of the historic districts. There are 3 historic districts, North Wayne, South Wayne, and Luella Court. So anytime that you go for a building permit and those issues arise, it triggers our review. We've got quite a few projects tonight. One thing I wanted to stress is that when we get you up here to present, please try to be as concise as possible. We're really only interested in exterior elevational changes. We don't need to go through plans unless it helps us understand some sort of in and out of the roof line itself or any kind of facade detail. We do want to see a site plan to see what's existing and what is proposed, because that's a massing and kind of a developmental pattern issue for the neighborhood. But we'd like to go right into elevations and talk about that. And you also have pictures of your project and also of accompanying or neighborhood shots. So if we can do 10 minutes or 15 a piece tonight, that would be great. Sometimes I talk a lot, so I'm usually the problem, but I'm going to do my best. So with that, let's get to the first one. It's HARB 2014-01, 311 Midland Avenue, addition and garage.
How much have you gone through the documents that we've submitted? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I can
just edit it down.
Edit it down.
Yeah.
There's one image which I want to pass around. It's not in the package. It's the neighboring house down the street, which was the identical house to this house before they started in terms of massing and volume.
You know, actually, if you can put it on the table, it'll go up on the screen. And you can kind of see where it is on either of these monitors. On the big table.
The big table?
Yeah. And then he can zoom in, and you can talk about that a little bit.
I'm going to put next to that an elevation, a photograph of the rear of the existing house. So in fact, presently what's on the rear of the house that we're working on is a small one-story addition, which has been enlarged in both directions, both to the right and the left. On the left, they've enclosed the open porch as shown in the image on the left. And on the right, they have changed the roof pitch and have taken it all the way out so it's now flush with the exterior corner of the house. What we're proposing is taking this addition down entirely and building a one-story addition with living space in the eaves above the first floor, which is a master or a kitchen and then a bedroom and bath above. In addition to that, we're proposing a new 2-car garage. We're removing the existing garage that's on the property in its same location to the rear, which is similar to all the other properties. All the garages march along the back of the property lines.
Could you quickly just show the site plan and just point those things out for us? Thank you.
this image.
Would you rather use a handheld? Would that be easier?
That'd be
for you?
great.
Okay. I hate that thing. Okay. Damn it. There we go. I think there's a pointer up there, but the mic's sort of better.
That's even better. The existing garage, which is presently located at the rear of the property, and this location is being removed. This rear addition is being taken down. In place of it, we're adding a new addition, which is smaller in footprint than what was there before, but it's now going a full 2 stories. And we're proposing adding a 2-car garage with a bedroom and bath above that for guest quarters.
I think you also had a picture of the existing garages that are coming down, or storage area. Yeah. Just for the record.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We're not proposing any changes to the street elevation shown above. The side elevation, this entire elevation is untouched, and our proposed addition is now pulled back from that corner about 12 feet. So in fact, this facade is again, unchanged. The elevation is obviously lengthened with the addition that we're doing. We're putting a roof on it in terms of steepness, which is appropriate to the rest of the house rather than a shallow pitched roof, which really is what's increased the volume as well as allowed us to put a little living space above it. Start with the side. The side elevation, the existing house is being untouched. We are now pushing back to reveal the original corner as the original design, making the masses really articulated rather than merging together along where the eave line and the gable come in contact. To the rear, we are creating a new family entrance on the right-hand side. It's very narrow along the driveway, so we're pushing the driveway back to create the entrance, and we're really matching the gable, matching the finishes that exist on the property, on the house, stone with a pebble stucco, and then shingle above, and then a detail which is here, which is similar to the detail in the front of the house. There is a shed dormer that continues all the way across the existing house. We're preserving that and still maintaining the corner so it emerges out from behind the addition that we're doing.
Could you slide that down just a little bit so that we can see the whole thing? And then if you've got the rear photograph of that you could put next to it, that'd be great as a comparison. Yeah.
So as you can see, this corner of the dormer is being preserved, and we're taking and pulling back again, revealing the original roof line and eave that creates and allows that corner to articulate the main volume of the house.
All right, I think the drawings that you had was very detailed in how the rafter tails are working and all the things that you're mimicking from the original house. So it looks like you've replicated pretty much everything that's good.
Yeah, I think the entrance detail and the eaves are actually taken from the existing, measured identically, using dimensional lumber, which is the correct proportion rather than present-day dimensions of lumber.
Pole gutters and all
Pole
that, too.
gutters.
Gotcha.
The roof is in question in terms of we're matching the existing. The client has looked at and is considering going back to the cedar roof, but right now she's waiting to get further into the project in order to determine whether it's cost effective or the budget will allow it.
But the slope, it looks like you're very nicely mimicking the slope, the very steep.
Thank you. The We're proposing a two-car carriage shed, garage doors facing the same direction that they do presently, and then a man door entering off to the right. So we're creating a balance but an asymmetry which is fairly consistent with the entire house. The facade that faces the street is one that really is very plain. It's shingle. It's got a brick base rather than a stone base, or I'm sorry, a stucco base rather than a stone base. We're using the cedar shingle as is proposed on the existing house with matching the same detail as we are on the primary addition on the new house, new addition. The only other roof element that we have facing the front of the garage is really a gable dormer, which has half timbering similar to what's being used on the existing house. Shown on the side elevation of that house. So we're really slipping that in as a gesture, as really a memory of half timbering, because it really is not truly half timbering, but in fact it is the architectural response of this house and many in the neighborhood. In order to keep our height within the ordinance, we have not been able to do the full roof pitch that would be appropriate if we were to match it identically. And we've had to use then a shed dormer out the rear, which will have two casement or double hung windows and a single casement in the center. Again, it will be shingle and it will also have that half timbering. Similar to the addition, we're matching all the existing eave conditions. The stucco that's on the bottom will match the stucco that is on the main body of the house. Again, wanting to create the hierarchy since we weren't using stone or stucco in the middle of this building, we dropped it down to the bottom and just then eliminated the stone.
All right, could you put the proposed site plan up, and then we'll make some comments. So I guess I'm going to start with the addition. I think the best part of this addition, other than it's taken all the inappropriate roof lines away, is that you've gone back to the original footprint and then just gone up. And so you've gone back to something that used to be there and then held true to the pitches of the roof and the detailing and, made it part of the house again. If you were to come about this house after you're done, you would probably say, well, that was always there. And I think that's kind of what we're after here. I don't think the original or the existing garage has any historic footprint that I can tell from now. It looks like a drop-down one, a drop-off. Typically in this fabric of neighborhood, all the garages are detached and in the rear. This one happens to be turned 90 degrees, so you have a side entry. And none of this can be seen from the street. Is that correct? That's correct. So I don't think it's a little bigger footprint than normally would be on an accessory building for this size house. But I think you have to look at today's uses and say, well, you've got to, ramp it up just a little bit to make that work. So, and the lot looks like it's almost a double lot. It's fairly large size. Any comments? Okay, I think also your use of materials are very, everything's appropriate, so make a motion.
Motion to recommend approval of a COA.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have everybody? Okay. Okay, you know the drill?
I do.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda. Where is my agenda? You already know you're supposed to be up here?
Yes. Sorry.
Where'd it go? Oh, here it is, okay.
That's okay.
I have to be official. HARP 2014-02 is 920 Eagle Road, renovation of sunroom, new one-story addition at rear, and removal of half-round bay at rear of house. Can you
Right.
introduce yourself?
So my name is Damian Kelly from Gardner Fox. I'm the architect in the project. This house was originally commissioned by Valley Forge Military Academy, I think for dormitory housing, and sold off as a private residence. So we're doing complete renovation on the house now, and we'd like to affect some of the things on the outside of the house. One thing I want to amend is we're not going to do the powder room addition, which is one thing I've shown on the site plan. It's that little area right there. So we're not going to do that. So that's off the docket. But what we do want to do, this photograph shows the front of the house, this lower photograph, and then the areas we want to affect are in the back of the house. This bay was put on, I think, in the 70s. So we want to take that off and put on, or change the elevation to make it look like this. So we're going to have double doors at the top with a little bit of a balcony there, and then some double casement windows in the kitchen there. And the upper area here shows that there's a sunroom, and I think this was put on in the 70s as well, and that is just sort of a cobbled together set of doors and then a glass roof that was put on there. So we want to replace the roof with standing seam metal roof and a few skylights, and then just do repairs to the exterior doors that are there. So it's really not changing the look of the back, it's just upgrading the material so that it's a little bit less maintenance on there. But this is a major change. I think that bay, which was put on in the 70s, doesn't match the house, so we'll put that back to something that looks nicer for the house, I think.
What's
which
that
would
used
look
for
like
now?
That is a little tiny bay that's in the kitchen. It's like a little breakfast area. It's just a little alcove. It's not even really for a
Is there a
table.
balcony on the top? Is that what that is?
Right, and that's a parapet, so they can get out from the doors that are there and then just walk out to that little parapet balcony. So I think it's a real 70s kind of thing.
I guess
it picked
maybe
up on
Army
the
surplus reuse of a tank or
I think it
something.
picked up on the turret in the front, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But we'll fix it up and take it off if we can,
Looks like an old 1,000-gallon water container.
possibly. So I think what we're doing really is in keeping with the house, trying to bring it back to what would have, well, I think this addition was put on without permits, and that really wasn't thought about too much. But this will clean up this back elevation, and then keeping this addition without changing its footprint or roof lines or any pitches, or even without touching the doors other than just repairing them, and just closing up the roof line a little bit. It won't change the pitch or anything, it's just the material change, really. And the standing seam metal, I think, is appropriate. Rather than having a shingled roof at that pitch, I think standing seam
Is
metal.
it sound, too? I mean, is the foundation sound, and it's,
It is. It's built on top of an old terrace, which is stone, and they put poured footings under these walls that are built, which are sort of all glass, really. But there is a frost footing at the back of the addition.
all right, well, I'm glad you said you're not going to put that powder room addition on the back. I think that's a good move.
Cleans that up right.
And then, virtually you can't see, you can barely see the front photograph that you've shown here when you're running down Eagle Road. But you cannot see anything on the back of this house as you run around. But, that being said, keeping that footprint and that feel, I think that's a great space if it's done without, so it's not leaking anymore.
Right. Well, that's a big concern.
So, I think that's appropriate, and, you're not increasing any footprint, you're not doing anything other than restoring some things at this point. So,
Right.
I think it's, and, removing the barrel is appropriate as well. I guess the only question I had on the windows under the kitchen, are there any other instances of paneled, kind of a section on the house? It's all brick and some siding.
The only siding that is there is on the side of the garage gable, and that is thicker lap siding. We could put a little section of siding, but I think that would look odd since it's just a little piece, and we wouldn't have vertical side or horizontal siding. There are no panels on the house, but I think that probably just looks better for the little bit of infill. The other option will be to put brick in there, but it was just to bring a little bit of a detail to that area. And
Well, this is a 30s, 40s. I mean, it's called out as a French eclectic, so, I guess a panel would work.
Yeah.
We're eclectic, we got the
yeah,
barrel on.
yeah, there are some stained glass windows in the turret in the front. I mean, there are some sort of artisan qualities to it, so maybe it would match that.
So Valley Forge Military Academy actually built this?
It was commissioned for Valley Forge Military Academy, and then I think it was for senior ranking officials or officers that lived here. And then it was
Yes.
sold off
I think I heard
as a
that too.
private residence. And then somebody recently bought this, our clients, and bought this in the past year or so, and they're renovating the entire interior
Right.
and fixing up these little bits we're talking about on the outside. So it's an interesting house. On the inside, there are some tile work from Mercer Tile Works, Moravian Tile Works.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Some
really?
interesting
Wow.
stuff that they're
Huh.
keeping, which is
Isn't
nice.
this
Yeah,
big-
that always fascinated. I've been
It's a-
driving
it's a
by there for
beautiful
30
house.
years, and it's
Yeah.
like
I think it was in a movie, wasn't it?
Taps was
Taps,
filmed.
Yes.
taps.
All right, well, I think this is a pretty simple one from
Yeah.
my standpoint. Anybody else have any?
Straightforward, sounds all good.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to recommend approval of a COA.
I would second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye. All in favor? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is HARB 2014-03, 226 Upland Way, a one-story addition.
My uncle lived in that last house
Oh, yeah.
for about 15 years when he was commandant of the military academy.
Ah, man.
Kind of interesting.
226.
That's the front of the house. And that's the orientation. We're proposing a 22 square foot
Can you use get your microphone, or is there still a handheld? Thank you.
We're proposing a 22 square foot addition. It's simply to expand the footprint enough to put get a kitchen inside it. Let me show you from the back. I don't know, you need the view, you want to see the views of the house going?
Yeah, just run us through
going
quickly, and
around.
then I think there's one shot on the back that kind of shows that corner
That's-
where you're going to go.
That's the view from the front. And the two views that are from the side that the addition would see are that and that. So that's kind of what the addition would look at. It's pretty closed. You can't see it from the street. It's really pretty difficult to see anywhere, but maybe potentially from that house right there. And this is the shot of the back. Now, this was an Ann Ledger designed addition that's on the back here, and we're simply extending it. So the addition is going to go in this area right here. And what it's doing is extending this over in here. We're pretty much proposing to build it exactly like the existing addition, which picks up a lot of detail from the house, the windowsill half rounds and things like that. So we're going to pick up use the same siding, use the same trim and finishes. So let me go to,
I think you, if I remember, you were wrapping that kind of hip around it too, so you continue that look on the roof line.
this is an existing and proposed. Existing, this is the Ann Ledger addition right here. This was once the garage originally, and this has all been bumped out. And this is what we're proposing, simply to extend it, pick up all the same details, use the same little hip roof. It's a pine siding, 8-inch pine siding with a let's see what else, just a double hung window. That's actually going to be a casement window. She wants it, it's above her sink.
Is it like a stucco base and
What do you say?
stucco base and,
It's actually all the base?
yeah, the base of the addition, is that matching what's adjacent to it? Or?
Yeah, we're going to pick up what's adjacent to it, which is just a stucco parge.
Okay. And this is something you absolutely couldn't see from the street or any place?
You can't see it you really can't see it from any direction except for, because it's really, you can see in this picture, this other house, which is completely behind trees. And that one, they could see a little bit, but other than that, it's pretty much completely hidden.
Okay. All right, I don't have any questions.
No, I think the addition just continues what is in the back already and extends it out. And I kind of like the smaller window because it gives you some nice symmetry.
You'd like
That
a
makes it
smaller
work.
window?
No, I said I like the smaller window that you chose,
Mhm.
just because it gives you a nice balance to the rest of the existing.
If you look at that right drawing, the before and after,
This
it's
is
almost hard to see what's there.
It is very difficult
So
to see what's there because
It's
so
not a very
it's
dramatic change.
tiny.
Yeah,
It's
I was
only,
gonna say.
it's 30 inches wide by 7 feet.
So it's not changing much at all.
No, it's not changing much.
All right.
We just couldn't fit a kitchen in the space. We originally tried to do it without it, and we couldn't fit a kitchen in the space, so we pushed out.
It's good. It's all good.
All right, well, I think you're doing everything that is appropriate here. Materials, scale, roof line, continuing everything that's there. Any other comments?
Right. Good. Motion to recommend approval of the COA.
Second that approval? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. You know the rule too, right? Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Harb, 2014-04, 200 Midland Avenue, renovation of rear breakfast family room and office on first floor and a new master bedroom above. Hi. And just remember, we're trying to go through elevations primarily and site plans. And just introduce yourself and
I'm
take it away.
Martha Robertson, MWR Designs, working with Devon Design Build for the Metzgers, and they are on the corner of Luella and Midland. So the house faces Midland and the side faces Luella. And it's about the only house in the neighborhood that is characteristic of that style of architecture. And I'm trying, find the look here, the as-bills. I have the as-bills here, wait a minute, okay, turn this way. all we're doing is, the original addition, which was built in stages, we think this was an outdoor porch at one time. The original house goes back to turn of the century. It's a craftsman-style cottage. Here's the front elevation that faces Midland. Here's the elevation that faces Luella. And this elevation is right smack up against the neighbor's house. And the neighbor's house was hodgepodge of something that was redone, so it has no historical significance. The only house that's close to the design of this house is catty corner and across the street from this house. But the one adjacent to it was rebuilt recently or 15 years ago, and doesn't really have any architectural significance. So the challenge was that this part was put on, this porch was put on, we don't know, maybe 50, 75 years ago. And then in the 80s, early 80s, someone put a second floor addition on. They didn't frame it correctly. There's not correct insulation, the roof leaks, and the floors move because it wasn't framed properly. Then we discovered this addition, porch addition that was put on, no insulation. And we don't even think it has a proper foundation. We don't know what it has. Because from the basement, we cannot get access. There's no crawl space access to anything underneath here. So we don't know until we excavate what the foundation is. And all we're doing is replacing what's there. We're not increasing the footprint or anything, okay? We're just trying to rebuild what's there to correct the problems and give them a better space. So as you see, the original house has some unique architectural elements. Shed dormers, reverse gable, little pop-up box dormers, things like that. And then this is the old addition that we're whacking off to rebuild. We're taking this off and just replacing with something that's more pleasing to the eye and sympathetic to the vernacular of that architecture.
And that little sort of, I guess it says south rear elevation, there's a little sort of a one-story piece that's got a virtually flat roof.
Yeah,
You're dealing with that too, right?
Now, that, yes, we are improving the
Okay.
slope of that roof.
Gotcha.
Okay, so it doesn't look so flat, and it's going to be a metal roof, standing seam metal roof. Those windows that are there now are becoming a door, a French door going out. The windows in the house now are replacement Pella. They're really nice, simulated divided light Pella windows. So they tried to maintain the architectural standards in replacing windows as they went along. So the windows we're proposing in the addition are going to match those windows. The current overhangs on this house, they have a fascia with crown soffit, okay, fascia board, crown fascia board, and the gutters were replaced before the current owners had it, and they are the standard aluminum gutters with the shield on them. So, but we are wherever we have a reverse gable, we are copying the gable trim, okay?
Can you pull these up and just put them?
Yeah, I don't have a copy of
You
those.
don't?
Can someone volunteer?
Yeah, one here.
Thank you.
And I think if you can just kind of relate them to that drawing
Okay,
and then
yeah,
quickly
this-
go through
this
the
is-
other parts.
Here's the front elevation facing Midland. That's a three-quarter view of the front elevation. Here's the side elevation here, right smack up to the neighbor's yard. And there's that ugly addition and the flat roof on a breakfast nook was put there. And then this is the old part of the house here. Then the rear, this here is the old addition with, I think these were old. This was probably some kind of porch, sun porch. because these windows have the old weights in them. They're definitely the 20s or 30s, maybe.
Yep.
We don't have any, we searched the neighborhood for any house that was even remotely like this, where we could see what the rear looked like. Unless you have some historical,
We could look in the Historical Society, but I can't think of one either.
right, okay. And then this picture represents, again, the side that's next to the neighbor. Then we have a picture of, this is the elevation facing Luella. This elevation faces Luella. And again, there's that big, massive addition that they just put flush with the side of the house.
Well, thanks for walking through that. I think it helps to have pictures and elevations together.
Okay, yes.
For everybody to understand, so.
Thank you, okay. Now, what we're proposing then,
And you might want to keep those pictures handy when you do your proposed, too,
Yep.
so we can put them side by
Yep.
side. Thanks.
what we're proposing is the same, here's the old stone foundation, which is literally 21 inches thick. And then, we don't know what's in here. This addition, the breakfast, is block. There is stucco over the stone and stucco finish everywhere on this house. But we don't know what's in here. We can't get under there to see, so it's a mystery. We're prepared to replace this, but we're keeping the same footprint. Okay. The critical elevations that are changing are this elevation, because I need, wait a minute, get over here. Okay. I wanted to get rid of this mass here, so we set the addition back about 6 to 8 inches, because we think that the original porch area, this lovely gable, this rake was chopped off when they added this addition on. So we are rebuilding that to continue that down, okay, to resurrect that look of the house. Then the addition, you're continuing a pent roof, which is here now, continuing that, hipping it back onto the addition, copying, these windows will copy the existing windows in the front of the house. This window for a master bath is a doghouse dormer, which is typical of this style of architecture. And we are copying the windows that currently are up in the gable end of the main house. But it's a double window, which you would find in this type of architecture. I've hipped the roof, and we're going as far as we can in terms of height, because I can't exceed this ridge. I wanted a steeper pitch roof in the back than I could get, but what I did is I broke up the roof lines, so we have a change in plane. So this is dominant, but this is subordinate. So we don't have this mass coming out at you. And then at the rear, we have a little pop-up shed window here just for the walk-in closet, and triple windows for the master bedroom. We maintained some of the rhythm of the windows on the, which would have been on the original sun porch. And these are equally spaced, and we have columns here just to break up this mass to make this look like it's coming out further, which it is. It's a 2-foot extension. And the pent roof dies into it. Then on the elevation that faces the neighbor's house, which is this elevation here, which had a funky door and an old porch that, we think that's why this roof is so flat, because there are holes here for where they think there was a railing. So what we were doing is we were putting a new roof on the morning room, taking it up as high as we can, and hipping it back to the corner just to clear this window. And then this whole addition, we're making it, this pitch is mirroring the existing pitch of the house. We're doing a little doghouse dormer here with some cute little high windows, which are the same type of windows you'd see in the front of the house. That same size window at the front of the house. And this is the master suite in here. Then this roof is creating an overhang for a small landing with steps to the yard for the new doors. And we are matching verbatim the existing bracket
I was going to ask you about that.
that is holding up this pent roof. And this pent roof, there was an outside porch here. We can tell by the footings. And then the previous owners closed that in as a mudroom. So we're just using that bracket design to support the back overhang. And then I'm doing smaller brackets with a similar profile supporting, they look like they're supporting the 2-foot overhang of the master's bedroom. And the front elevation doesn't change. Here's the front elevation's the same. Doesn't affect the front at all.
Is this just a rough stucco on the rest of the house?
Just a rough stucco, yes.
Okay. So you're just going to match that?
Yes.
What's the material on the breakfast room now? Kind of, I can't tell from the photograph.
It's stucco.
It is? Okay. So you're going to keep everything stucco?
Yep.
All the way through? Okay.
That was the homeowner's choice, not knowing what else would have been on this house. If you feel we should change material, we could do a.
When you start taking this thing apart, it's going to talk to you.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and in this venue, we don't have anything to say about finishes necessarily.
Okay.
We have recommendations, but
Right.
we don't vote on that.
Okay.
So
All,
if you find that this is all German shiplap siding and you want to do that, that's not something that we even look at.
oh, okay.
You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
Right.
But if you see what you see now and that's how you're running with it,
Yep.
then that's perfect.
Okay.
you know?
This gable, crown fascia, we're going to copy in all the reverse gables. And then the trims that are around the window now, it's like a brick mold combination, Adams brick mold thing that they've got. We're going to duplicate that around the new windows.
Good.
Nice. So the only thing that, I like the shape of this, I like the mass of this. I think you've done a great job of mixing things up and taking that big blob off the back and making it look like it's supposed to be there. The big hip is something I'm not accustomed to on this house, but it does the job.
Yeah.
And you push in a gable into it, so it sort of minimizes all of that. If it just was one big hip, it would be so uncharacteristic of what's going on here. But you broke it up enough on the back elevation that I think
Okay.
it works.
Okay.
And it really makes you understand what the original house was and what the other piece is. And I wouldn't even mind if you brought that main gable down a little bit off the main house, just to give it a little more hierarchy. But you're probably, fighting roof pitches and ceiling
Yeah, I
heights and
am.
all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
we're trying to, yeah.
So I'm just, you're fine where you are. If you go a little
Okay.
lower, that's great, but
Okay, got it.
you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
Plus, we have to see where we can tie in.
Right.
We don't know the condition of this ridge.
There's
It's
usually
all-
nothing up there.
Yeah, because it's all finished attic space, so we don't know until we get in there.
That's great.
Are the original columns in good shape? Are they solid stone,
Those
stucco,
suckers,
wood?
they are not going anywhere.
Okay. Some of those were,
No.
there was some kind of wood which was
No, no,
stuccoed
no,
over and
it
they're,
is- they're so
they're
massive.
very, very hollow, but that's good.
It's great. I think you're keeping
Is
the
there a
cottage
chimney
feel.
that's going away?
Yes, there is a chimney that's going away. And it
Alright.
was the one that was added on in a later date, and it's brick, and it's nasty and ugly, and it's going. It doesn't even work.
That's the little one, right?
It
The really
was-
tall little one?
There's a tall little one in the middle, yes.
Yeah.
Right, I see, yeah. I think it's great. I like, I like the cottage feel you're perpetuating, and also I like the fact that the original roof line that was altered when this was built is coming back, so.
Right.
Nice
Thank you.
choices.
Okay,
I think this is a perfect example of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
okay,
yeah.
thank you.
I mean, that's really what I'd say. And, you know, when you put it into what we're looking for, it's about mass, it's about scale, it's about bringing something back into you know, its kind of world. And I think you're doing that, so I
Okay.
think it's successful in
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Yeah, I think personally, you've taken 3 sides of the house, which you didn't even want to look at. That made it even more interesting than the front. I mean, it's,
Oh, yeah, well,
as you go around the whole house, it's like, oh, wow, different facade, and it's a whole new experience as you go.
right.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Motion to recommend a COA?
I'll second that. All in favor?
All right.
Okay. And you know the permit process and how you
Yep.
go from here. You've been here.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Good job.
Nice job.
Well, the one on Eagle Road is, remember the
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember you did that one. That's a nice job.
You were the one that did the hand-drawn plans.
Yeah, and I also did
All
it
those.
on Oak Lane, I guess it was.
I think so, yeah.
Now, wait a second. that was 200.
Got another one coming up too.
Okay, I don't want to rush you off of there. You got stuff to pack up, but the next project is HARB 2014-5, 138 Runnymede Avenue. This is a revised application. It had an original approval on November of 2013. It's a renovation using the existing footprint and adding a second floor. And you can introduce yourselves and...
Hi, I'm Rose Zeffirino. This is Luke Attanasi. We're with Rockwell Custom. We're representing the owners and the architect of 138 Runnymede. We were here back in November and got the approval. Since then, in talking more with the owner, the architect, and then trying to keep in line with the heights that are of the structures that are surrounding it, decided to add a third-story loft to the home. And then, do you want to?
Yeah, that's pretty much this area here.
Can you use them? Yeah, use that, thank you.
The owner wanted a space for, I guess, their aging parents to live in the 3rd floor. So he added this dormer on the back and extended that gable. And you can see the other ones, the other side, just took the height a little bit higher to sort of match the neighborhood.
You don't happen to have the
Here's-
original,
here's,
do you?
what we showed
Okay,
last
good.
time.
Yes.
Compare the both as you go
Yeah.
along.
Try to match them up here best I can. So this gable was pretty much doubled, went up above. This shed dormer was really rolled into the main roof line on the left elevation. The right elevation, you can see extended up with the rest of the house, kind of kept the elements that were approved and just really raised them up.
I think the one thing I liked about the original design is that the scale of it was so much more appropriate for that site. You've got a lot of big neighbors next to you and around you, but they are on, 3 times, 4 times the size lots. And that original proposal took that, I don't know where the original, where's the existing photograph? We don't really know what that house used to be or was or whatever, but it's very diminutive. And then you took it to the next level last time, which we thought was, it's a story and a half, a 2-story, it's kind of staying in that same scale, but, taking it one level higher. This is now exploded into, I feel, something a little bit too large for that footprint. I really like the first one. And as you walked us around that, it was trying to, kind of talk about a little bit of the past of what was there, even though we don't know what that means.
Right.
To me, I think it's gotten out of scale to what is, if you put the site plan up there and show kind of how that fits into that pie, it's a tiny site. And I forget the neighbor to the right, to the
There's
south.
some pictures.
I forget how big a house that is. Do you have a picture of that one?
Yeah.
That's that one, okay.
This one here is the one that shares the driveway with it.
So most of the larger neighbors are on the other side of the street and down a little bit, as I recall.
There's one, the.
Directly across the
Right.
street is a 3-story. Yeah. There's 2 3-stories across the street.
And if you look at those houses, they've got that 3rd story in the roof line, but they've also got a house that's probably 3 times the size footprint of what this house is, and it can kind of maintain that big mass. And this house, I think it's kind of, it's overwhelming. That's my opinion so far. I don't know.
I tend to agree with you. I get the feeling, best description, it looks like a large barn, just sitting there. And I agree with what Cam said, where your original design really fit the site and really worked nicely, and the proportions were proper. This takes that same design and bloats it to like a McMansion. And the style that you had before, which looked great, you kind of lose it because of the scale.
I think the goal for the owner was to try, because right now it's the 3-bedroom, it was to try to get in a 4th bedroom in the footprint without extending anything for that. So if there's a way that, sort of still allowing for that, but maybe changing some of the exterior elements to sort of downplay that feel.
Well, can you
Then we
extend, do you have the zoning problems?
To extend the
Can you
footprint.
extend it out?
I don't
or-
think we could extend the footprint beyond. I think
You're locked into
we're
where you are.
probably maxed out.
I should look at the new plan again, but if, I'm just thinking, like you said, instead of creating the entire building now to become a 3rd story, would there be a way to make a portion of it so that it wouldn't be as blocky and big?
Right. Yeah, we can certainly go back to the architect and the owner and see if there's a way to extend it without kind of taking the entire roof as high, making it feel as oversized as it sort of appears. Somehow get the space without kind of compromising that.
That's a full 3rd floor you've got on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, to get an extra bedroom doesn't have to do that.
Well, I think the way that the stairs lay out, it kind of eats up one of the other rooms completely in order to get up there because the footprint is so small that once you start adding in the hallways and the stairs, you have to put 2 bedrooms upstairs to have 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor.
Well, I think my opinion is that it's gotten too big for the site, and I think we would like to ask you to come back with something that's got more of what the original was like, and somehow not a full extension of the third floor. I mean, I think that's what's bothering me the most.
I mean, that,
You're starting from scratch, pretty much, other than
Yeah,
a foundation.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you can do anything.
yeah.
You have nothing that you're trying to really mimic in that house that was there originally, other than its footprint. You have neighbors that have all kinds of interesting details that you can pull from. And I don't think a clipped, necessarily a clipped kind of a hip is something that it's kind of got a lot of elements trying to happen here, and it's not really, and it's too big to begin with, to start
So,
with.
okay, yeah,
know
sort
what
of
I mean?
back to that. You think if we're able to redesign it on the exterior, we'd be able to get away with the third floor?
I think a full third floor is
Partial.
going to be too massive.
Okay.
So somehow, if you can reduce the third floor to a partial,
Okay.
I think that would be a good compromise.
that's something that I would suggest.
I mean, right now, it looks like it's just got a big block design
Sure, sure.
with the third floor. And I don't think we're opposed to adding height,
Height.
but like Cam says, you're not like taking an old house and adding to it. You're really pretty much starting from scratch. You've got a
Right.
blank slate here,
Right.
other than the footprint.
Okay. We'll relay that to the owner and
Right, we have to vote.
come see you guys again.
What do we vote?
Officially, we have to vote on
Okay.
this. So hang on a
Fair
second.
enough.
Okay.
Any
Motion,
other, you have any?
I would just, for me, clipping the roof off the way you've done it, chopping that in both instances really detracts from the character of the house.
Mhm.
You're trying to get more of a traditional roof line. So those really jump out.
And I can see how you're trying to make it feel like it's lower, but it sort of makes you look at it more.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know. So anyhow, I think we should vote on on the things that we're allowed to vote on, which are, we're talking about this, the massing of this is too large for the site. The height's too
Right.
much, even though it may satisfy zoning. We're that next level to look at, so. I would make a recommendation that we don't approve this one.
I second that.
All in favor of not approving?
That's a double negative, but I
Did I say that wrong?
agree.
I agree.
Okay, so we've got a 4-0 on a disapproval on that. So if you could come back next time with those things in mind. I mean, I think, like I say, the first round was great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So somehow,
Yeah, we were happy with
come
it too.
come back to the middle somehow,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, if the owner considered going back to the original plan, would
That's
we
already
need to-
approved.
Okay.
That's
all
already-
right,
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's fine. If you change it beyond what that is, then you may want to do that if they really need to do,
Yeah.
and you haven't touched the house yet, it's still there, right?
Right,
So it may be worth the while to go one more round,
yep. Okay,
okay?
great.
Thank you. All right, next up, HARB 2014-06, 439 Midland Avenue, proposed patio and swimming pool, relocate entry to existing mudroom. Now, we have two packages
Yes,
here.
I know,
We
and-
look at the last one, is that the one we look at?
I have another revision.
This is the third one, okay.
Yes. It's
Okay.
been a long time since this has been in, and a lot has changed, budgetary, everything.
Okay,
So
well,
can I
let's
stand
try
up?
to boil through to what we really need to look at.
This is the one you're going to look at.
Okay.
And if you could look at A6 is probably the most
Okay.
informative on this.
If you could just put that up on your,
But that's two, I'll bring it.
Thank you.
do you have one more copy or no? He needs one up there too. And I'm sorry, can you introduce yourself? And we're running so fast, I'm sorry,
I'll
sometimes we
start
forget.
again. I'm Debbie Douglas, and I'm representing my clients, Robin Jane Armstrong,
Okay.
439 Midland Avenue. It's on the corner of St. David's and Midland Avenue.
Give us
Can you start with the site plan
Sure.
to start with? And just kind of tell us
Debbie,
where.
are you using the plans you just showed us?
Sorry?
Plans you're going through now, are they the plans that you
Revised.
just gave us now,
Yes, yes.
today?
But there are some, the engineer's plans, but I don't know if you're even interested in that, are in the other package. And the
This is-
site plan is in the other package.
Yeah.
I didn't reprint that out, so.
Okay, we're going to need. Yeah, but we need a site plan.
More paper than,
No. 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 Maybe.
I apologize.
No. I think this is it. What you got?
yeah. That's what she has.
I've got a blown up version.
There's another one, that's
Yeah.
something else.
This one and this one,
Okay,
I think, oh, you've got that one, okay.
This one.
This one, which is the blow up of that?
that's got other information. Yeah, that's a really old plan.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
why don't we,
I
why don't we
can- I
try
can
to
s-
work this out then? Show us what you've got on there, and then,
Can I just go through
yeah,
what we got?
and then
Okay.
we'll ask you questions. And you have the rendering package too?
Yes,
Okay.
the new one is marked revised on the bottom, so you know which one that is.
Revised 217, got it,
Yeah.
okay.
The property's on the corner of Midland and St. David's. We are not touching the front at all, and what we're proposing to do is round the back and the side. There is an existing patio at the back here which we're taking out, and we're proposing to put in a swimming pool and a new patio, on-grade patio at the back. We're also changing where there currently stairs coming in at the back into the mudroom, and we're changing the orientation of those stairs to the side. We're also wanting to, the latest proposal is to bump out the kitchen 3 feet at the back. And I'll finish. Basically overframing the roof, the existing hip roof at the back for the kitchen, and just pulling it out. Exactly the same exposed eaves, raftered, painted, exactly the same. Oh, is it not on?
I think you just had it too far away, maybe.
Oh. so
Give
can you-
it a test. Yeah, does
It's
that work?
working.
Okay.
No?
No.
No?
no.
Maybe it's
Is there a
dead.
switch there?
There you go.
Oh, there we go, on.
Got it?
Now you can hear me.
That's fine.
Yes.
There we go.
Sorry about that. So we're basically wanting to overframe the existing kitchen roof, which is this big hip at the back here, and pull out the kitchen 3 feet. And the existing mudroom, it's an old, I think it's an old porch, and it doesn't have any insulation, and the ceiling is really low. So we are wanting to actually just rebuild that structure again, and raise the roof slightly as much as we can up against that parapet behind.
Is that a walkout deck out there? Is that what that is?
Sorry?
Is that a walkout deck back there?
Yeah, on the side.
Okay.
Let me show it.
Over pictures.
This is where the existing mudroom entrance is. So we're moving it round to the other side. And the existing kitchen has just a big double French double hung window on this side. And we're wanting to put in sliding doors, walking out onto sort of an outdoor kitchen area, coming down onto another patio, and then onto the pool patio.
Could you show this picture along with that? I don't know if you can do it with that board. You can use this one if you'd like. That gives us a really clear existing rear elevation. There you go.
This is the existing rear elevation, and we are proposing that. Basically, a new staircase, pulling the stone that's around the base of the house onto to the balustrade walls of the staircase, and using the same shingle.
So in the existing picture, there's a rear addition that has 3 windows.
Yeah. That's-
That piece is going to come out another 3 feet to the rear.
That's going to come out another 3 feet, and that's the kitchen, and the windows are just eating way too much space in the kitchen. So we're wanting to reduce it down to 1 larger window.
So it comes out 3,
3
goes
feet.
up a little bit, and you hip the roof higher.
No, the roof is still on the same ridge line. It's just
Okay.
being overframed. It's just coming forward.
Okay. And then the other piece that's next to it stays the
That-
same, but it's getting re-roofed?
That is getting re-roofed, and that roof is getting, the pitch is going to change.
And then it extends over an
And that
entryway?
extends over
Gotcha.
3 feet over the entrance, over the staircase.
And the door is reorienting? Is
Sorry?
the door location?
The door is going to go around
Around the
to
other
the other
side.
side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it's terrace, pool, lawn?
Yeah.
You're kind of stepping down in multiple layers?
Yeah,
And I think your renderings kind of go through that pretty
you
clearly.
look on the back of the, sort of show a smaller
Mhm.
version of the site plan, just showing the massing of the house and then
Oh, good, good,
the patios at the back.
that's good, that's a nice one.
We're trying to sort of hide the pool in a way, and there's an existing sort of cedar fencing with trellises along the side of the property. So we're trying to sort of bring that to use that again, alongside the pool. And I think from St. David's Road, you would see very little of that wall that's hiding the pool area. What you would see would be the staircase into the mudroom.
What's the reason for that wall that's in between the Bilko door and the stairs? Is that to hold something up or hide, or, you know which one I'm talking about?
No.
There's a basement set of doors, metal doors that go down, and then there's a wall,
Oh, in
and
this,
then there's your stairs.
in this.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, there'd be a handrail against
Like
that
the
wall.
railing, that's what I was
Okay.
thinking.
And that's stone, the wall?
We're wanting to do it in stone, yes.
And you're still using all the same materials?
Yes, the same.
I think your drawings show you're doing a flare base. The rendering doesn't show that, but you're doing,
Sorry.
the siding has a flare base to it?
Yeah, we
That's
are
gonna
going to try and mimic that flare
Okay.
and bring it round.
So we've got kind of a combination, the hardline drawings rule, but the renderings give you the flavor of everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the site plan is
what's the height of the wall, the screening wall that goes around the patio area?
That is, the solid fencing would be up to 4 feet above grade, which is at, it's 4 feet, and then it'll be about 2 feet
Oh.
or 1.5 feet of trellis above that.
Okay, it looks larger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably the perspective I took or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I think in terms of the actual change to footprint of the house that you're doing, they're minimal.
That is,
It's a
yeah.
3-foot extension. You know, the roof is still a hip.
Yeah.
It's just over frame. The mudroom is still a mudroom. It's just got a nice entryway, and you're
Yeah.
changing the orientation to a more suitable direction. And the rest of it's really out of our venue, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have much to say about anything terrace-wise, but you're screening everything, so really, even if we didn't like it,
Yeah, well, that's,
and we couldn't say we didn't like it, but,
yeah,
but, you know, it's, you know, I think, you know, anytime you can layer down to grade in multiple layers, it's a great thing, and you've certainly created a private oasis back there.
yeah,
So that's really nice. So I think in terms of what we're here for, you know, the footprint is appropriate.
Great.
The heights are all appropriate.
Thank
The
you.
changes are minimal. The materials are being matched.
yeah.
No foul.
Great.
So
Yep.
so that's kind
No,
of,
it's really good.
I mean, I've watched the evolution of this house for like over 25 years.
Oh, really?
This is going back into the early 90s when the first person had it up for sale,
Yeah,
and it was an unmitigated disaster on the inside.
yeah,
And then I think the person who just sold the house
yes.
had come in and really did a restoration. I mean, inside and
It's
out.
beautifully maintained
Honestly,
inside,
yeah.
everything. It's
Really, I
gorgeous.
mean, those windows were all repaired and
Yeah.
the outside fixed up, and
Yeah.
then the interior changes that they made.
Yeah,
So I think this just continues what previous owners had done properly
great,
and extends that.
yeah. Okay,
Like they say, you never own a house, it owns you.
yeah, yeah.
and there's still, it's a large lot.
It is
Yeah.
There's a
large
lot of,
Yeah.
lot of green
And-
space left, and
But it's also a big, it's got a,
It's a
it's a
big-
big house. It's
Yeah,
a-
yeah.
It's a big mass.
And you really don't see that backyard patio all that much. In fact, when there was a open house recently, when we visited it,
Yeah,
I really didn't even know it existed. And you
Yeah.
really had to kind of look over that hedge
Yes.
at best, because it goes down into a little
Yeah.
valley.
yeah, it sort of goes down and there's a lot of
Yeah.
planting
Right.
on the side, so
The
you
slope
really
is
don't
helping
see
you.
much of it at all.
and so your treatment of fence and solid is going to make it virtually
Yeah,
go away.
yeah,
So that works great.
thank you.
Yeah,
All right, so I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah,
I think so
pretty
too.
straightforward. Motion to recommend approval of a COA?
Second.
I'd second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Next time, save your paper. We don't need structural plans or, you know, door schedules for stuff on the interior, and, you know, I know it says give us plans, but,
It was my first time. I'm
I know,
sorry.
I know.
Yeah,
But it's, you know, the things we want to see are footprint in plan,
yeah,
what's different, what's, you know, what's new, what's different, what's the same, and elevational that shows us what massing is, so.
well, thank you.
But thank you. Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
All right. On to, I've got Harb 2014-07, 217 Walnut Avenue. Remove existing rear addition and construct new two-story addition. Hello, Ann.
Is this on? Can you hear me?
Did she turn it off?
How's that?
No. There you go.
That's what.
My name's Ann Ledger. I'm the architect for this project. This is the site plan showing the existing here. There's a piece that we're taking off and a swimming pool, and we're adding this addition here. Here are the photographs of the front of the house. You see it? This is the front, which we're not changing. This is the front from an angle, which is not changing. This is it from the back. This is a small piece that we're taking off here. And you can see it better from this photograph. There are just there's a little collection of additions that have been made over the course of several years. We decided to take that whole back addition off and build something that's larger, that provides better first floor and second floor space for the new owners. We're also going to renovate the existing garage that's back in this corner here. Here's a picture of the front of the garage.
And I'd kill for that garage.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Here it is from the side. I couldn't get around on the other side, but the other side looks pretty much the same. I also included in this this packet several photographs of this same house that's sprinkled throughout this neighborhood. And they've all been treated a little bit differently over the years. This one has green aluminum siding on the whole house, and all the architectural details have been covered with aluminum. The rafter tails are covered up in most cases. So part of the work that we're going to do on the house is to take off all the aluminum capping and all the siding and install siding and cedar shingles, do new rafter tails, and sort of upgrade the finishes of both the house and the garage so they'll both match.
Some of those gable details are pretty amazing. I'm hoping you'll find that.
In the front?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has there are very nice details on the house. There are nice little dormers up on the third floor. We're going to replace a lot of the windows, and we're trying to unify the detail of the house. So we're keeping the whole front piece and just focusing on the back piece. You have these drawings, do you not? Okay. Here's the front, which will stay the same. Here's the driveway side, and this is the existing house right here that we're leaving, and we're going to add this addition in the back. So the roof lines we will match this existing roof line, and the addition sort of gets smaller as we work our way towards the back. This is the right side of the house, and again, this is the original house, and we're just having these smaller pieces fall off to the back. All these finishes will match the windows. We're matching window sizes in the addition with that of the existing house. In the back, this piece is new.
Could you
Let me
put
go
up
back to
the existing rear photograph next to that? That'd be great. Thanks.
You see that?
Yep.
So there's a little dormer up here that we're going to be covering up with this big gable. We're matching the existing roof pitch of the existing house. And the detail of we're reinstating the rafter tail detail. There's another gable. All these roof pitches match that of the existing front gable. So we're taking care with matching the detail of the whole house and making it a more unified piece. We're going to add a one-car garage that's attached to the house. The existing garage currently has one bay plus a smaller bay that's been turned into a work area. So the new house will have, this is a functioning bay here. This is just a work area. They're going to renovate the second floor just for guest quarters for when their children come to visit.
You want them to come, but you want them in the back. Okay, I got it.
Understand.
Well, it looks like the addition that you're taking down is wrapped around what was originally probably there. There's a little piece in the crook
This
there that's
picture?
kind of the old outhouse.
In this picture?
Yeah, that little square with the little,
Out here.
that little guy.
This is a little powder room that was added.
And usually that's kind of all part of a mud space back in that area, but that was done, all that stuff was done
Was added.
later.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that you're taking that, which has been muddled up a bit, and starting anew.
It's very choppy space, which is often true with these additions that have happened over time. So the space that we're adding is that we're making a bigger kitchen and a family room and just a mudroom area. So we're really not adding much in the new part. And there's a bedroom and a laundry room on the second floor. There's an elevator. So we're going to make it a home that the current owners can live in for many years and have their kids come and visit. You can see in some of the other photographs that I included, the other houses. There's one on page 8. That's the same house that still has many of its original, still has many of the original finishes, sort of light pink. So we're not copying that exactly, but it is exactly the same house, and this house occurs many times in this neighborhood. They're all a little bit different. This one is all aluminum siding now, all the way down to the stone foundation, but we think there's probably brick or stone under there, because all the other stones have that on the first floor. So we'll see what's there.
Stone all the way up, you think?
The other houses just have brick or stone on the first floor.
On the first, okay.
And in this house, it's all covered with green siding, so we don't know what's there yet. If it indeed is a nice masonry finish that we could renovate and leave as masonry, we'll probably do that rather than doing siding.
And if you went with siding, would you go back to the 3-inch exposure, like the smaller exposure?
We'll do the small, and then we're doing shingles, the pre-finished
Gotcha.
cedar shingles on the second floor and above.
Can you put that site plan back up?
Oh, sure.
And then maybe we can zoom in on that. And kind of follow his zoom so he gets right in the middle there. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
So this is that little village back here that's on the back of the house, the pool. So the footprint of the addition is quite a bit bigger, but a lot of this is a single-car garage. We're adding a little bit of new driveway here just so you can come around and come into the back. It's a rear-loaded garage. So there's a bay here and a bay here.
Could you sort of sketch on top of the addition what the 2-story piece is versus the single-story pieces? Or the 1.5-story, whatever the biggest part is. I'm just trying to see.
The 1-story piece is right here. The 2-story, this is this attic space over there. So really, the 2-story piece is right here. And then it drops down to single-story and single-story here.
And the garage is the part right good, okay. So
This is the garage right here, and the entrance is in the back.
So in a funny way, even though I know it's an addition, it's misleading in a sense to look at the footprint expanding so greatly.
Mm-hmm.
But now when you think about how the component of the garage, 1-story, is adjacent now to the house.
Right.
It gives me a bit different feeling that it's not going to be an overpowering castle suddenly.
Right, the whole footprint is not 2 stories. Here's the, here's the garage.
Right.
And this is just attic space above here. So the only 2-story piece is this piece here, is right here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it in
So that's what,
proportion.
That's what
18
makes it-
feet back or 15 feet or
Here.
something like that?
That's a good guess.
Okay.
That's just a bedroom and a laundry room and the elevator in there.
Mhm. All right, because when I was looking at the site plan, the footprint looks like you're over than doubling this, the size of things. And then when you start to look at the elevations, you start to say, well, it does break down when you're looking at it from the side, from scale that way, which was helpful. I was, didn't want to make sure that your neighbor missed the east sun all day long, so I was concerned about that.
Oh, this bit, yeah, well, you can see on on here, the whole back portion drops off, as it does on this side, too. This is the neighbor's view.
So, when I was looking at this house, I was thinking that 18-foot 2-story addition, 2.5-story addition really was probably the biggest I would put on this house. And then you put the other stuff on, and it's low scale,
Yes.
so it sort of works fine that way.
I agree.
But initially, when I saw the site plan, I was like, oh my
The site
gosh,
plan, I know.
are you kidding me? So I think you've managed to sculpt this thing into, a form that works, and adding them adding a tremendous amount of space for this house. And, from something that really didn't do much for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good plus.
Well, the big piece was wanting that other bay of a garage. Having a two-car garage here did add a lot to the
Yes.
footprint, but doesn't add that much to the massing
No.
of the house.
And it sounds like you're revealing some of the fabric, if possible, that might be great for the house. If you take off the,
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's, you do find some, what I've usually found is that sometimes well, no, I haven't usually found anything that's right. Occasionally, you find some things that are salvageable, but I think what we would love to see, and I think you're on board with that, is, when you pull something off and you find it, you replicate that in a new form or restore it, or whichever, financially makes sense. And I think that seems to be what your intent is.
If you look at the picture on page 3 and 4, you can see what happened to the existing details when they got the aluminum out. And then if you look at on A4, you can see there's a little bit of the rafter tail detail there. So we're going to just reinstate all of that, just
great.
because I think it's all about the details on these houses and the massing.
It's great.
And most of the other houses in the neighborhood are really quite nicely renovated, so. we have
This
some-
will add
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, I've always found the garages that are supposed to mimic the house, which this one does, usually are not sided because they don't care, like the house needs to be sided. So all of a sudden, you can look back at the garage and see the original stuff, even though it's falling apart and whatever.
Right.
But all of a sudden, you start to see where the thing flares, or there's a piece of trim or whatever. And this one certainly shows all that. And this is the garage. So you can imagine if they took all those elements and went to the house and then added,
Yep.
what it should be, you're going to find some cool things in there.
Yeah, that photograph on 5 is really beautiful with all the finishes for the garage.
Yes, gorgeous, I love it.
Well, I think you're right, as you start to take off the siding, you find all sorts of
Yeah.
really beautiful details.
I've found things that they're always there, but it's so incredibly expensive to try to save them that you really can't. And it drives me nuts because, it's the original fabric of the house, but, unless you're really invested in that, it's tough to stomach when you've got to do all this other stuff.
Well, I would save the aluminum because 100 years from now, they'll be restoring this to a 1950 style. Put that siding back on again.
Those aluminum salesmen were really something, weren't they?
Yeah.
One thing I have not asked, is there any public comment for anything yet? And I see someone who might be interested.
Just me, as usual. Greg Pritchard, Woodland Avenue. I just wanted to point out one of the most fantastic pictures on file at the Historical Society is a glass plate negative that shows this house being built. And it's mostly completed, probably around 1888 when the picture was taken. But it shows the details, and it's so high resolution, you could really tell a lot about it. And I'm sure a lot of that's probably underneath all the aluminum.
Great.
And yeah, I was just looking at it, it is brick on the first floor.
It
so,
is brick, good, that's what I thought. It was an 8-inch thick wall, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, let
Great,
me know and
thank
I'll
you.
get you a copy of it.
Thank you.
Greg is a tremendous asset to this community in this regard, and he's also a nice guy, and he lives in the community. But I've gotten glass plates from him, and, the image is this big, but you can zoom in to something that big, and it's crystal
Something,
clear.
Yeah,
So you can look at the profile of a piece of molding, and you can see what it is. You
beautiful.
can see, 1893 trash in the street. It's unbelievable. So, please do that.
Beautiful,
It's so much fun.
good, thank you.
All right, so.
Hmm?
I'll probably
Motion
go-
to recommend approval of a COA.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks, Ann. Nice job.
Very nice drawings.
Thank you.
We are getting close. All right. Next one up, HARB 2014-08, 321 St. David's Road, reconstruction of existing 2.5-story home. and new conforming 3-car detached garage. Enter.
Good evening. So,
You want a handheld, or you want to?
let me get to the right page here and
Okay.
see where we can,
Oh, you were here before.
I was here before.
That's right. I remember this.
I don't think I was here for this meeting.
I don't think so. Yeah, this one. It's a really cool house that they put a mansard roof in. The mansard roof was taken off, and it's kind of flat at the top, and now they're putting it back on again.
Yes. So, let me see if I can do this with the microphone. I'm Mark Asher. I'm the architect for this project. The Whitmores are the owners, and as noted, this is our second trip here. We were here in the spring, and the project was approved. And since that time, we've really been round the barn, as they say, and have come back with a modified project. What we've actually done, unusually, is we're coming back with a smaller project. I'll get into it a little deeper, but the essence of this, two things were happening. One is we came here with a project that was larger than our clients really felt they needed at this point in their lives. So we went back to the drawing board and came up with a plan that's some 600 or so square feet smaller and a little simpler, a little user-friendly, more friendly. But perhaps more importantly, we're running into a buzzsaw of technical issues, mostly flood-related. This is a extremely low-lying site in an extremely low-lying area with a stream or culvert that runs through the backyard.
Right.
So it was causing all sorts of mayhem for us with grading, placement of the garage, driveway, general condition of the structure and the foundation. Any number of builders bid on this project, and any number of civil engineering projects were, or civil engineering careers were launched here. So that has brought us full cycle back to a project that we're really proud of, a really special site, really special lot, really special client, but just had to take a different tack. So that being said, we can zoom in here perhaps. This is the,
Hey, Mark, can you grab that mic? Thanks.
yes, how's that, okay?
Perfect, thank you.
So this is the photograph of the house as it exists today. It's this square stucco cube, a little different in this area. So many of the houses around here are the stick built and Queen Anne style and all sorts of eclectic things. This is sort of a stucco cube. So this is how it exists. The drawing here shows what was approved in the spring, where we were really kind of gutting and facelifting and adding out the back and so on, and I'll get to that site plan in a minute, but really keeping, of course, the essence of the building with its roof canopies and shutters and windows and everything really being sort of, very faithfully matched. Fast forward to current design, and this is the building that we're proposing today. And I know you have the same photograph as I have in front of me, but really, it just drives me crazy. This thing's always crooked. I really, you work so hard at the correctness of it.
Mark, come on.
So if you can see, and I don't think it shows up very well on that screen, but the one-to-one, the building as it exists and the building as we're proposing, is really pretty seamless. And that's our goal, that's our mandate here, and it's certainly what we would want to do. If a board like this didn't exist, this is what we would be doing. So I think you get it, what we're proposing here. By way of site plan, let me just jump to that. This is our proposed site plan. If I were to show you the difference between the approved plan, I could probably jump to that, but you would see a much larger addition out the back here and a larger side sunroom proposed out here. So really, again, that's where we've significantly reduced this project in terms of building square footage. And to the flood issues that we've run into, we've also substantially reduced the impervious coverage here. Again, some significant stormwater management goes along with this project in terms of, again, reduced impervious coverage, the stormwater system, rain gardens, regrading. The garage that we're proposing here as new is actually pulling forward from the rear property line, which is where that stream runs, so we can pull some contours around and raise the garage up out of the ground. The building, as noted, and has really been a handmaiden in this entire process, is this right here tells all. This is typical flood damage. We understand that the previous owner had lost a car in this garage, and there's no wonder. So again, that whole stormwater management system, regrading, pulling that garage forward is really sort of the response to what is happening in this photograph. So,
The garage design is the same, though?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
I think if I pull, I think our garage renderings are in the back of this booklet here. The pearls of the handheld microphone, I'm doing everything with one hand. And, haha. So, like the house, of course, we're looking at this little carriage house in the backyard with similar roof design and similar detailing and historical window treatment, shutters and doors and trim. And I mean that in a real way. I don't want to stand up here and sort of lip service to that, because it's so easy to do that. Oh yeah, we're going to put some fake shutters on the house, and then it'll be okay. That's not what we're doing here. I think it's really a pretty faithful reproduction of the structures that are there.
That's unchanged from the last time, correct?
Yes, it's just slid forward.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Correct.
Do you know what the age of the original house is?
It's this one that doesn't show up in the records.
No, we don't have it in our
Yes.
inventory, so I don't know.
Now, it's structural terracotta.
So that's like 20s or
So
30s.
we're thinking about 1917.
Yeah.
Might have been, it's as good a guess as I have. But I was thinking, as I was sitting back here, looking at the application in front of us, and how infinitely flexible and changeable and fixable that stick style is. It's really quite remarkable. It just seems to be reinventing itself all the time. A structural terracotta, not so much. It's caused quite a-
Structural is kind of a misnomer.
Yes, yeah. It's caused quite a bit of problems for us. And in our earlier iteration, we were really rebuilding the house from the inside out. All new structural walls inside, and the structural terracotta was just, as you say, non-structural anymore, just standing there as a place saver holding up our stucco. That coupled with our rubble foundation, which has gone through 100 years of flood, again, we really were pushing the limits of engineering prowess. So again, it brought us back here, and that's where our project is.
So it looks like you went to, you reduced the scope and the size, and now you're taking it down to earth,
Correct.
but bringing it back up in the same footprint with a couple little.
Correct.
mumbled.
Correct.
Can you really save the front portico piece
Sure.
and reattach it?
Oh, yeah.
And all that? That'd be
Oh, yeah.
great.
And that cornice thing
Yes.
looks pretty,
And again, the thing is replete with, good details. It's, the window sills are this beautiful, thick stuff. There's
that's all
good,
there.
there's good stuff here.
Would you make this out of masonry or do frame and go stucco? Really?
Yes.
You won't go for that, huh?
Well, I have a really good builder standing behind me, or sitting behind me here, and I think maybe the subject of your question is, there's two kinds of stucco. There's good stucco and there's bad stucco, and 90% of it is bad. I think, it can be done well. Before this board existed, we did a project on Windermere that was real. The stucco system was really fought over and uncompromising. So I think, you don't want this thing to look like a Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, it's going to be hand applied and
Right.
rich. So
That's a pretty smooth finish on the original, too.
Yeah, that's
isn't it?
true.
yeah.
It's good. And it's a shallow pitched roof.
Yes.
So,
It's really one-to-one. We don't, as you said earlier, and I say often enough, I don't want anybody to know that anything happened here. That would be sort of a success.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be the case.
that's good.
Well, you really reduced the scope of this.
Yeah, the right scope.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Well, I think you've got, you're essentially replacing the existing structure, and then you're adding smaller pieces to it that are appropriate. They're all in the rear. The building itself is going to look virtually the same,
Yes.
so there's no impact there, other than it goes away for a while.
Correct.
And people will start screaming because they'll think we never looked at it and said they're tearing a house down,
That's
and
true.
we'll get calls. But
It's all
in
good.
effect, you're going to be doing it again.
Yes.
And like I said, I wasn't here at the first meeting, but what I see here looks appropriate for the site, appropriate for the house, and you're not going any higher, pretty much, right?
No.
So it's there. That's going to be nice. I don't have any other questions.
No, I'm just comparing both.
You got the old
There
version.
was no objections to the last thing, and there's,
I wasn't here for the previous meeting, so what is the story with that parapet?
Yeah.
Well, the existing parapet is just that. And whether it's original or not, we don't know.
somebody
But-
had,
Didn't
I
someone-
don't know whether it was you or somebody else had mentioned that this had originally kind of a mansard roof on
Yeah,
it that was taken down
Well,
and flattened down. I
I
don't
thought
remember
someone
who it
mentioned that,
was.
and this was covering the parapet was covering.
I don't know.
Call Greg up. See, he might have a picture of it somewhere.
Oh, I thought,
It's not in your head? I can't believe that.
Oh, I think it was the owners.
I think they had said something about.
Maybe that's who it was.
But, be it as it may, much of what happened last time and what we're doing again, there is a low slope hip roof beyond this. And,
Right.
So inside the parapet,
Correct.
it
There.
continues?
correct. You just can't see it because of the parapet.
Right.
And the
But-
parapet's set back from the facade? Or is it in line?
It's in line.
It is in line.
It is in line. But there's this, this really large roof overhang, this sort of, cornice that wraps around
Yes.
the structure, which of course is really sort of its defining feature and is of course being replicated. So, the fact that we're putting a hip roof back on this cube, seems certainly, it seems appropriate to the other homes around it, and
Yeah.
I think so.
Well,
Feels
if
more
we
like
could
a
find
house.
something historically significant, like Abe Lincoln was up there talking to people, or, whatever, it has to have a significant value to it. It may have been that there was no hip on the outside at all, and it had dental work around it at once. It's kind of got that look to it, too. And then inside, you have to do something to make watershed, so you do whatever, and then and then it leaks.
and it does.
So, bad idea. So I don't know offhand whether there's anything significant to that. And given that, it certainly doesn't bother me that you're going to do away with that at that point. But if you were to find something in the history books that changed your mind, would you?
Well, that would be a different thing.
Okay. All right. Well, we might poke around a little bit and see if we can find something out about that. But otherwise, I think, scale-wise and the scope and all that is appropriate, and it's a great job.
Okay. Motion to recommend approval of a COA.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really-
presentation.
Really nice
Thank you.
drawings.
All right, I have to relinquish my control here. Who would like to take it? Bev?
Oh,
I have, the next project is
Oh, that's right. Got it,
Barb
got it,
2014-09, 406 Woodland Avenue.
I'm getting it now.
Enclose existing rear two-story porches, one-story addition to rear and side elevations, front elevation renovations, porch and gable roofs. And I think I wrote more in that description, but I think Mary Ann pared it down.
Okay.
No one's staying around.
So you're going to stand up there now?
So we can do this with 3.
No. It's just us. No one else.
Be brutal.
Let's be brutal. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. I'll get to that. Hello? Okay, my name is Cam Lacey. The architect for this project for Ed and Pat Babin. It's Pam Babin. It's Babin. It's 406 Woodland. This is another gabled in project. What I wanted to do is give you some of the latest, since we've had like 15 snow days, we were able to bring up drawings. You have 2 drawings that are, one is a site plan and one is a really, really light elevation page, which doesn't show a whole lot because the printer was bad. So I have new information I'm going to hand up.
Why was it contained when you sent this thing in the first place? I'm going to be careful.
All right, thank you.
Okay, this is, as I said, another gabled in. I was here a few months back with another one that is under construction right now. This one is from the front elevation, it's virtually the same as when it was built, aside from the color. But these gabled ends all have these keyhole arches, or they have a stone siding and a large wooden lintel. And then this facade is either a pebble dash stucco or a cedar shingle or some combination. And most of them have been covered up over the years. Starting with the site plan, this is the existing building footprint. This is woodland, and in this drawing, the dotted line is what we're adding. Maybe I'll get something a little smaller than my big finger. We're extending out a piece off of here, and this is a void on the first floor. We're going to infill that, and then that's an existing porch. And we're going to extend that and wrap it around. Nothing happens to the front, and then there's a small side entry that's off of the driveway. This is an 1898, 1893, somewhere in there. It's a Wendell and Smith home. The garage was built in 1931, and it's a straight shot back with a little turnaround. This drawing is the same, except for I've shaded what the new work is. And everything that's gray is a first floor piece, and this kind of pebbled piece is what's on the second. But it's kind of, it's already there, we're just rebuilding it, and that actually goes straight now. So that's kind of the scope of things. It's not a very large addition, and you'll only see this little piece pretty much from the street. I'll walk you around the house. This is the front elevation, and also this plan here has numbers and pointing arrows, so you can kind of follow where you are. This has a front porch that's intact. It also has an addition that was a bay that was added later, and then what happens in the back is really kind of unique. Going around the side, it's all very typical. There's a gambrel on this side, a gable on the other side. Big overhangs on this main gable that wrap around the gambrel. Everything is this is an aluminum or vinyl siding now, but what's underneath there is the 3-inch lap. And then the second floor is usually always a shingle. So that's all been covered. The shingle is there, and it's been painted and maintained, so it's in pretty good shape. What's beneath the vinyl is, kind of what we're going to find out. But it does have shutters. Some of these don't have shutters after a while. Stone base on there. And as you go around the back, this little porch may have been part of the original. And then typically, this was added as well, this whole piece. Typically, this would have been a mudroom with a porch and a little outhouse. But I think the outhouse part of it got moved over. There's some additional masonry work here, so this is kind of a little bit of a muddled piece. But the owners need to recapture this space on the interior. They want to take over this porch and infill this piece, and then take the second floor and use that, and also reuse this. And then this piece, we need to pull out further from this bay, so we're going to add on a piece there, and that's a kitchen addition. This elevation, this is the end of the house where it used to be, and then all of this piece is the later addition. The one thing I want to do is on the second floor is move that wall in so that you can see the original gable end and restore those rafter tails. So this section will be moved in, and then this is a step-down room, so we wanted to level it out with the rest of the floor in the house. And so when you do that, all of a sudden your head height is too low and the shed roof is too low, because I was originally trying to save that. So I think we're going to end up taking that all off so we can get a new roof line in there to make that work. These are the neighbor houses. There's a roundhouse on the corner. These are all various shingle styles. That's southwest Woodland, this is northwest Woodland. Here's another roundhouse. So the neighbors are all a bigger house. Here's this same house. You can't see that detail there. It's a little different. But they have the eyebrow detail over the front. This one's all stucco. Probably was all wood at one time, but they stuccoed it all over. No porch there. No porch there, but a terrace. And then you've got something totally different turned the other way, down the way further. Some of the other examples in the neighborhood, this is the one I told you about with masonry. These porches have usually been enclosed. This one's not there. That one's not there. That's the house again. This one was enclosed. And they have various window arrangements in this area. This is usually a bay that extends out over the side of the house. Here's one that's enclosed. You see that window pops up every now and then, but this double is always consistent. And it also has a gable that pops out of the end. This was enclosed. That's enclosed. And this is kind of, I used to call this the bigger brother. This is a pillar house, which has detailing, and I talked about this the last time, was that North Wayne has kind of a kit of parts for houses that are kind of unique to different houses, but they're all sort of they all sort of blend in together. And so what we wanted to do was to upgrade this house a little bit and sort of borrow from some of these houses. And in particular, this where you have that extended rake detail where you have an exposed rafter, and it's a show rafter. We wanted to borrow that idea for the front of this house, and also upgrade the columns on the porch and so forth. It's a little simple. There's again that detail. So these are just some houses in the area that make it North Wayne. We'll go back to the front of the house. Let me get this. I have way too many drawings. All right, here's the proposed front elevation. There's not a lot going on other than a little bit of detail. You can zoom into this a little bit. This is basically the same, except for this. We're going to take this roof line and move it out some and create those little lookout rafters. And then underneath, we were going to do a little closure piece that ends up being a standing seam roof. That's all sort of, in that triangle. Windows would stay the same. Eyebrow would stay the same. This roof line, when there isn't snow on it, it looks like the roof goes right up and becomes the wall. It's kind of got a sweep to it. And so we wanted to delineate that a little bit. And so instead of having just a shingle roof go into a shingle, we were going to make it a standing seam and bend it. And that would be a copper standing seam. And then down in the porch area, we're just going to upgrade to a larger corner post, smaller mid post, and a pretty simple square stock detail for the spindles on the porch railing. The footings for the porch are shot, so we're going to rebuild them. They're kind of concrete and cobbled together, but we're going to make them back into stone, so you'll have a consistent stone work all across the face. This is existing windows. This is a new one we're putting in, and you saw that pop up in some of the other houses that goes in that space. These are existing. The reconfiguration of the interior allowed us to say, well, we needed a window here. So this is a double, and you'll see that elevation. This is a double gable going into that gambrel. We're going to do a single here in virtually the same location. And then a lot of these houses on the steep roofs, when they get windows in them, they have a little trick where they kind of take a shed roof and just pop it up a little bit and drop a window. And they're very simple little bays or little dormers. And we're going to do one on the side of that. It's a really tiny one. I'll show you that elevation. That's the existing little bay that's there now, and then beyond that's the screen porch. And I'll get around to that. That's the existing center fireplace, and we're going to add another one. So that's that. Coming around the rear, what we were trying to do there is I was trying to minimize this shape. This is actually back. You come upstairs that are covered by this base. This is a flat wall. This is an angular wall, and then it goes into a little box that has a hip roof. There's a lot going on there, but it's very clunky. So we were going to take that shape and put it down below, but extend it out, and that would be the kitchen extension with this above it. And then fill in that area in between, and then also take this screen porch and pull it out a little bit further, and that would be this little gabled area. So that's kind of the breakfast area that then opens up to a living space. And we were going to mimic what we did on the front gable here with the show rafters and that little copper piece, and then take the whole thing under a shed that wraps around, and this becomes a little portion of an outdoor porch, and then as it goes back that way, it's a screen porch. On the second floor, rather than kind of raise this shed and just make this big block again, as I said, we're going to take this wall, move it in, and just do another gable that takes care of the space requirements in there. And then fill in here with the shed, but you sort of call that a cricket at that point. There's another little piece out here that is existing, which there's a back stair that it kind of is on top of, which we're taking out, so we're probably not going to use that. But you really can't see it. And then this is an existing gable. Here's the new masonry fireplace. These are usually, whatever you see in these houses is usually internal, and whatever comes to the roof is usually brick, but then it was always stuccoed, so you never kind of see that. On this new one, we were going to make it stone all the way up, and then at the top go back to brick and do a little detail up there, so it had a little more richness to it. And on the driveway side, which is along here, this gambrel section stays the same, and this is the main gable that sits out over the front porch. Sort of in this area, we're going to extend out a little bit and make a new entryway. It has a closed section, a little extra porch, and sets your stairs going back towards the driveway area. Here's that first floor extension that's the same shape as this. That's part of the kitchen. That's the existing. All this is existing wall, and all we're doing is changing window locations here. This one just becomes a smaller one. And that's the same. That's an existing. This is that little shed roof that is over the back stair that's being taken out, so we're probably going to take that out. That's usually not in very good shape because it's so far up and you can't get to it. And then on the other side, this side here, that's this side. That porch wraps around in this area and tries to return back just before this other bay. So this is all screen porch, then that's open porch, and then your stairs come down. And then they're under the new addition part, they're going to try to get a full basement in there. So we're going to do an outside basement stair that's kind of tucked under the porch, so it's not really visible. There are 2 columns here, which I'm not sure will show up anywhere. But there's usually these porches have an entryway here, so you have a heavier column and then 2 slight columns, and then there's an entry between them. And we didn't see any need for that, and to furnish it, it's better if that goes away. So we were going to just take that out, and then just continue the railing around, and then everything gets cedar panels underneath. But the porch has stone piers, cedar panels in between. We're going to do a built-up column that's an AZAC piece that has a little more detail to it, and then here's that new chimney. These are new windows, those are existing, this is a little push-out bay, gable bay. So I was kind of trying to keep that rhythm going. They don't need to be as deep, but it's the same kind of detail. They're about 7 inches apart, the mullion piece in between them. And the third floor, those are existing. So that's kind of the elevation work. The other drawings I have are plans, which if you have any kind of question to how things move around, you can look at them. We try to not show plans any more than we have to. But there's a set of floor plans for proposed. There's a set that's proposed. It also has red that's being taken out. So you can kind of see what is existing and what's new. And then I have an existing set. And I think I'll just show the existing first floor plan, which, this shows what the extent of the addition work is around everything. And then that's that side entrance. So if you can imagine, this here is really a 2-story piece, even though that's empty. It's got a roof over the whole thing, and then on top of this, sticking out even further than this wall is that second floor bay. So that's the footprint. It's not gaining a whole lot of space. Most of it's in the back. This you'll see a little bit, but it's nothing more than this kind of detail just coming around the edge. And Wayne is a it's a community of it's a porch community. So people are always on the front porches, or they have the front porch. They wanted a screen porch. Bugs are getting worse. So it's the same idea, but it just has that kind of a closure to it. I don't think I'm missing anything. Anything, Ed, you want to add to it? Okay. Okay. So basically, here's the game plan. We want to do this plan to extend their living space. As we're taking it apart, as I've said before, you go under the vinyl. What do you see? How do you deal with it? But the idea is to bring that back, whether it's restore it or replace it in kind with the same exposure. Where you go from stone to siding, strip siding to shingle siding, there's always a detail that happens there. We'd recreate that. If we can get away with it and leave this second floor shingling alone, and whatever we do new match that, that's great. But it will be a second floor shingle look. It'll either be a hardy plank or a real shingle, depending on where we go. Roofing, we're still looking at. Right now, it's an asphalt shingle. The sheathing on the roof does not say it had cedar on it. Some of the old pictures, it has a heavy-looking shingle, but I'm not so sure it's not a, it might be in some kind of a clay. I don't know. Maybe. Redwood. Okay. This is one of the plates that I got from the Historical Society. And this is one of these houses with the stonework. This version of the house. And this one had, a stone entry, but this is the kind of detailing you had in the windows and the siding and the corner boards and the shutters. This happened to be a stucco piece up here. But what I did is I went in and I said, well, I want to look at that. And I was able to get a close-up of that. And these are on those glass plates.
Wow.
And that's what you can do.
It's amazing.
So, all of a sudden you look at that and go, oh, it's a flat, it's a flat barge board around, but it's got a bead on it. And then what's that? Well, sometimes they're curved and have OGs and whatever. Well, no, it's just an angular piece. This corner board, wherever they join, there's a round on it. And that happens on the inside in some cases too, in the plaster work. But you can see how this is all laid up like that. And then you see the big show sills and, the pins for the shutters. So I can go in any part of that drawing and look at anything And that's just clear, I could go in further. But I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we have available to us when we're looking at projects. So if you ever want to, have a question, don't hesitate.
They're so,
All right, so I've taken up enough time, right? Okay. So, any
You
questions?
realize we went through 5 already.
I know. I told you this was going to be a problem, but anyhow, so this is again, just like I say, one of these, there's over half a dozen of these within North and South Wayne. The floor plans vary a little bit, but mostly they're kind of consistent. Materials vary a little bit, but they kind of go stone, siding, shingle, and then, whatever the roof used to be. And, we really just want to take this look and give it a little extra punch, but not much.
What are you going to do with the first-story octagonal piece you're creating? What material?
That one is, let me point at it. Since the first floor is all, 3-inch siding, that would be that.
Okay, got
And
it.
then as you go around the side, there's actually a detail where you get that flare that runs right through
Nice.
here.
Nice.
And we would change back over. I mean, this is already there. But anything we would do that's new, that continues that around, this would all be shingle.
Nice.
And then, we want to do the show rafters and the half-round gutters and all that stuff. They used to have pole gutters on this main gable, but I'm not sure. They're kind of a problem maintaining, particularly in ice like this. So I don't think we'll go back to that. The other house I'm going to do that with, but this one I think we're going to probably stay and keep the water away from the house.
That makes sense.
So it's minimal work on the outside. And the back is, we're just trying to manage kind of something that's out of balance. And since it is a gabled in, we figured we've got some gables to add to the mix. So, it's really kind of nestled into a shed roof that's a one-story piece. So it's trying to keep this big second floor block and break it down, which is kind of consistent with what we've been talking about tonight on a lot of projects.
Exactly.
So, and the other thing was, we can't afford to take the whole backside apart. So we got to make it work with whatever we have. So we're going to keep it and figure out how to work with it. And so that was what we came up with.
Good.
Any questions?
No, I think it's a
I
great,
have one
great.
small question, very thoughtful, very nice design. The new side shed dormer window that you're putting on the primary gable in the front,
You're right.
can you talk about, just explain
Oh, here it is.
that a little bit?
Right here.
Yeah.
That was a kind of a need from the interior. I'm trying to find that other drawing. Oh, here it is.
Second floor plan?
If you look at this elevation, that's the end elevation of this gambrel, and it's a double gable going into it. And so we're kind of taking that and moving it to the front and just making a single. And we wanted to minimize it, but it's a big roof area, so we felt that it didn't detract from that roof area. It's different than what was there originally, but I did a thing where I had the upper roof come down straight over this. So it was a shed, like an eyebrow that way. And the new owners wanted a little something more. They wanted to bring a gable to the front, other than the main gable. So it's kind of like, you can go either way, but I think this is the way they wanted to go.
Okay. It's nice.
So anything we're replacing that's flat stock, it's all AZAC, or we're even talking about trying to use natural woods if you're up for it. Right. But I mean, that's kind of the standard we've gone to. And it is all flat stock around the windows.
Purple vinyl siding.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same speech I had on the last one, pretty much. It's just the different formula.
Any public comments?
Hi, Greg Pritchard again. Just one thing I wanted to mention. It seems a little bit uncharacteristic, the front gable, the extension of the roofs with the rafter ends. That side of the house doesn't get too much sunlight, but the play of the shadows, I'm not sure if that would affect the appearance of that gable any. Right now, that's the most prominent feature of the front of the house, and recessing it like that and making it appear as if it's inside the roof. It's a much smaller gable than pretty much any other North Wayne style. Pillar house is much larger, so it kind of gets away with a little better. Just seems a little bit out of place to me, but otherwise, I feel your pain with the kitchen, so good to go with that as far as I'm concerned. So.
Yeah, we had discussions on that main gable, because that is kind of an original detail. They really liked the look of the other houses and how that added another layer of shadow to it. So it's not it's a foot extension. It's not it's not like the big one. So we thought that, and this is also something that happens when the roof is getting replaced, which isn't going to happen right away. So it can be a talking point. But the idea was that they wanted to do something a little bit special and pull from the kind of all the parts of Wayne and kind of add to that. So I understand what you're saying, though. Thank you. So that we'll still look at.
I think it's greatly improving the space. You're just punching it in so much nicer way in the rear elevation especially. Really
Well,
like
it's a lot it's kind of a lot going on, but it's
but
it has purpose. It's not not that we're just trying to put things on the back.
No,
There are the spaces require those shapes, and it's certainly I wanted to get away from the two-story wall.
Exactly. No, I
So
think it's
that's what we're trying to do, is break it down. And we didn't need as much space on the second floor as the first floor, so it steps back. But on that kind of western end, I wanted to make sure that we would go back to the end, the main house gable. I want to be able to see the main house. Go back to that. So we're doing that.
nice.
So that'll show again.
I like it.
And a lot of these houses in the last 50 years have added a lot of two-story pieces to the back. Some good, some bad.
Yeah, this will
But
be
they
good.
usually end up just going right off the same line,
Yes.
and then they bury all that detail.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of, it's so easy just to go in 6 or 8 inches and then fly, and then
Exactly.
you get to show all that stuff, so.
No, I think it's great. Keeps the character nicely. So, would you like to
Make a motion to recommend approval of a COA.
I will second it.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
And you know the process?
What?
And you know the process now?
Oh, yeah, I know the process. I gotta come back up.
Time is it?
Consider we have 9 of these things?
All right. Now, normally we have a spot in here, that's all the projects for the night. And by the way, in the beginning of this meeting, I meant to say welcome to Mark Zwagerman
Thank you.
on our end here. One of our board members, his term was up. That was George Nagel. And he's happily on the zoning board now, I think. And but Mark's taking over. He's a fellow architect, so he knows all the pain we go through. So we welcome him.
Thank you.
Is there any new business that we need to talk about? The only thing I would like to do in the front office is somehow make it understood what kind of drawings we need, or maybe we do, but they don't follow direction. But, the packets of structural drawings and, all this stuff that we don't need is, And, also, here are people that bring in full working drawings for all full construction sets. What if we say no? Like, I don't know where they're getting their cues from to, in here, it should be sort of a heavy design development kind of a drawing set. And then when they get the approval, they fly with it. But there are a lot of people coming in here with full sets, and it's, so I don't know. I think we need to educate them a little bit. And maybe that's, I don't know how that happens.
I certainly don't want to get into a long and lengthy conversation, but remember, you are only a recommending board for the exterior and how it looks. So they're well beyond you by the time they have a set of prints to bring in here. Otherwise, you're going to get a hand sketch on a napkin with no details. So they've gone to a design professional and had a set of working drawings work through, unlike some who have changes when they show up, but it's set so that you guys comment on just minor changes or a recommendation or so on the outside. The design is already done. I mean, I don't want to say you're scolding yourself, but you've got a full set of working drawings sitting on the table there. Did you go too far?
Well, we don't need to have all that.
No, but yes, I understand. Perhaps
all.
what we ask for is then only the elevation drawings and, any details that pertain to the outside.
All right, and that's in the requirements? I mean, that's in the request?
Again, we've adjusted our ordinance a couple of times and gotten away from our original intent. And I think our original intent was ask for a specific or ask for something different in our packet. Yes, maybe it's time to sit and look at the pack and ask for less in the pack I almost hate asking for less details, but perhaps we could ask for
Specific.
only elevation drawings as it pertains to, and no structurals, no interiors.
I mean,
Although
it's
kinda hard.
costly to them to print all that stuff, and it's useless to us. So it's just a waste, that's all I'm saying. So I just, I noticed that in a couple of them tonight, that's all.
Yeah,
Yep.
big sets.
Any old business that we know of? Any more public comment? The room is full of people with public comment. All right, well, I think we should adjourn, and I only talked for 20 minutes. I move that we adjourn. Second? Okay, we're done.